Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics video on the channel. It is Wednesday and as always we have trade talk ahead of round 13, the second of the bye weeks and probably the easier one I guess for most people, obviously with the two teams on bye being Freo and St Kilda, but I think our trades are a lot easier this week knowing that we're going to be trading out obviously players that are either on their bye or have got a bye coming up and bringing in players mostly that have had their bye already, obviously, particularly the premiums and stuff. Rookies and stuff, there's a conversation obviously to be had and maybe some mid-prices, but I think most people are going for the premiums that are coming off of their bye. So let's get stuck into the most trade in-out players, as you always do. They're my top 5 targets of what my current trades are this week. So we'll start off with Tom McCarthy. He is the most traded-in player this week. Hasn't played a game yet, obviously. He was the number 1 draft pick in the mid-season draft. 11,500 jumped on him already. 230k defender mid. I think if he makes his debut, I think he is a pretty good target to be looking at bringing in to our teams this week. Whether you wait a week or you jump on him straight away, I think that's obviously the discussion. I always like waiting a week for 230k rookies, but during the buys, I think you can afford to potentially jump on him straight away. Plus as well, he's got pretty good wraps already and he's only been there not even a week. So I do like him if you're going for a downgrade. But Marcus Bontempelli, 8.4k jumping on him. He is the second most traded-in player of the week. And for very good reason, the Bont. Obviously, we know how good the Bont is. One of the best players, if not the best player in the comp. Averaging 105.2 from his games so far this season and would be a lot more. He obviously got subbed out pretty early in this game here where he only scored the 79. And yeah, I just think he's a very good option. Ton up in every game that he's played a full game. He's got a pretty nice run count. Hawthorn's a bit trickier this game, the first game count, but then he goes, St Kilda, Richmond, Sydney, North Melbourne, even Adelaide, I think he'll go all right. Brisbane, Essendon. It's a pretty nice run for the remainder of the year, but particularly the next 5 weeks after, the 4 weeks after the Hawthorn game, I think are really good. So I think he's a very good option. Obviously comes at a price, but I think that paying up for the Bont could be something very well worth doing. So, yep, really like the Bont if you're targeting him. Kai Lman is third on the list, 6.7k jumping on him. I went here last week, and obviously I was very happy with the results. 79 points, went up 41k, break even 8. I think he is a very good option. I think even if he goes at like a 60-odd average for the next month, he'll make over 100k, right? So I think he's a good option, and he's obviously got the final buy and could be a really good option to make some cash and then trade at his buy in round 16. So big fan of Kai Lman, of him as an option, 392k. And the fact that there's not a lot of, well, not just rookies, but particularly forward rookies. There's not a lot, right? Maybe there's a Keeler next week, but besides that, they're all like speculative guys that could be vested or subbed out or anything like that. Whereas Kai Lman, he's locked in the Brisbane 22. I think he's a good option. Okay, might not put up a great score against the Crows. Apparently might be a bit wet, but I think he's still a very good option regardless. So I like Kai Lman as an option. Caleb Mitchell is at number 4, 5,500 jumping on him. Obviously, Richard matchup is very, very good. 252k is a good price. I'm probably more happy to wait on Caleb Mitchell. So he's got Richmond, which is a great matchup. Then he's got a bye. And the way Sydney are going, do they reset? Is he going to be there after the bye? I would prefer to wait 1 week, see what he scores. If he goes well and then he's in the team after when they come back from their bye, I'll then jump on him. Because one, it gives you a downgrade option in round 15. But then you also know that you're not just jumping on some guy that's going to go up to maybe 280, 300k, and then going to get dropped. And then all of a sudden you've got essentially another red dot again. So I'm more wanting to wait a week on him. I don't mind jumping on him, but I prefer to wait until after his bye if you can, and you can get a Lman instead or another option. So, yeah, probably team dependent on that one, but I'd prefer to wait personally. Riley Hardman is 5th most trading player, and I'm a big fan of this trade. 4,500 are jumping on him, and I like it. Break even to 1. He obviously showed he's got the scoring potential there before the bye. He scored the 106 and looked pretty good there. He's got West Coast this week. So West Coast has been traditionally a bit trickier for defenders, but I think it's a pretty even game. So I think this will be an okay game for Hardman. He scored a 44 against Richmond, which obviously isn't great, but that game was very, very contested. Shizu and McCarthy only turned up because they had tackles. Obviously, Cherry Nankers went big, but a lot of the outside guys didn't actually go very well. So that was a bit of a weird game, that one. The other scores, 73, 64, 106. So I think he can go at that 70-ish range and make some good coin. Got some decent matchups as well. West Coast, Freo, Carlton, I think next few, I think he can go all right and make some good cash before round 17, when you'd probably want to trade him out and bring it and upgrade him as your final upgrade, and hopefully get to 600 or maybe even more by that time. So Hardman, I am a fan of bringing him in. Campbell Gray, number 6, 4.3k jumping on him. Oh, he's defender forward, right? He's very, very handy. I just think he's there while Bolter's not, and then when Bolter's back in, he'll be out. So he'll probably play in and out. If you're happy, just have him on the bench there and just set him there. I don't know if he plays this week. I think that Sydney game, if I'm not mistaken, is during day, which means that Bolter will play. Just having a look. Richmond, yeah, they play during the day, right? 12:50, so 1:20 Eastern. So Bolter will play, which means I think Campbell Gray will be the one that makes way. But there'll be other games where he plays, right? So I just think that I wouldn't be paying 301k for a guy that's going to be in and out. But if you need a rookie downgrade and you're happy for him to play a couple of games, then maybe not, and you don't. But then again, if you probably need him this week, right? So I'm probably not looking at it personally, but it probably depends what you're looking for. Grind Myers is at number 7, 4.1k jumping on him. So he's the only preem so far that we've seen that hasn't had the round 12 bye, but is being brought in by a lot of people. He's looked great, right? 137 last week. Obviously, great score. West Coast is very easy for those transition players to score. 106, 94, 99. He's been very, very consistent outside of the 60 against the Crows, and then the 43 where he got concussed against Hawthorn. And he's got a very, very nice run coming up. I do find it hard to get a premium that has got a buy to come. I just think there are other options you can go to, even as buy plays that have had the buy already. I think Myers is one of those guys you could consider, and I could tick off bringing him in this week. I just do think, though, there are probably a couple of guys that have had their buy, just because I'm looking at going, well, he's going to play one game less than someone else you can bring. And again, you probably come down to, well, if you're going for a forward, who else are you going to bring in, right? If you can't get to Kennedy, there's not really anyone else. And that, so I could tick that off, right? But in terms of, if you get a midfielder, I know Walsh has been bad, right? But I'd almost rather him because he's had a bye. He's got some good matchups to come. Worst case, you trade him out later on the buys anyway. But there's some other options, right? So I don't mind it. It's just, yeah, I probably think I'm like, would I rather a guy that's already had a buy or not? So it's a tricky one. I'd tick it off if you want to bring him in, though. Connor Rozee's at number 8, and for good reason, 3,500 jumping on him. Not really much more to say other than he's a very good option. Obviously, he's a bit expensive now, but he's going to be a top 3 defender the way he's going. Obviously, a great option. If you don't have him, obviously, he's highly owned, and I think it's a good move to jump on him. So he's probably top sort of few targets coming off the bye. So I would definitely get him if you don't have him already in your team. And then to round out the 10, we've got Matt Kendi and then Tristan Cherry. Matt Kendi, again, he's expensive, but he's been very good. 6 tons in a row. Obviously, Treloar came back to me. Interesting to see how that whole midfield mix does work. He's probably not going to take many CBAs to begin with, but as he sort of works to full fitness, who's he going to take the CBAs off of? But Kendi, 6 tons in a row, has just been very, very consistent. Has only gone below 89 once, and that was in round 2. He's just getting it done. So I like him as an option. If you have already got maybe a Bont, and most people got Rozee, but if you've already got a Bont, you're looking at someone else, I think Kendi is a very good option, and I think he'll be a top 6 forward. So I like him. And Tris Cherry, this really, like, if you're trading in the rucks, this is as good a week as any to get Big X. He's got West Coast, great matchup. He went really big against them in the preseason at Bunbury as well, where they're playing this game. But then he also went massive last year, 168. I think he got back half the year, and he went like a 130 or 129 or something early in the year. So the last 3 games he's played against me, he's gone well over 120. I'm a big fan of bringing him in. If you got Marshall, a few people are going, well, Marshall to Cherry. That does make some sense. And then you can always, if you want to go Gawn to Marshall later on, but you don't have to, obviously, because Gawn's killing it. I think Big X is the top 2 ruck. I think he is the number 1 ruck coming home. So I'll be a fan of getting him in this week if you don't have him. Great matchup, captain option as well, which we'll obviously chat about tomorrow. But I'm a big fan of him. Angus Sheldrick, I don't mind jumping on. He's obviously got 1 game, then he's bye, but break even a 9. I could tick this off because it's not a premium. And if you're light on in round 14, which I've found myself, I don't have a lot of players on the round 14 bye, I could tick off bringing him in, particularly with the Richmond matchup. But yeah, obviously with Sydney, the way they're going, is he going to be in the team? I think he will be, because I think he was one of their better players. But just something to watch with Sydney at the moment. But I could still tick off Sheldrick as an option, but obviously he only plays one game, then he's bye. It does make it hard because then you've got a Riley Hardman who's a little bit cheaper, but now doesn't have a bye. And I'm sure you can put like a Holmes, Sheasel, Rozee into your mids for a week or for a few weeks and put Hardman there. So I'd rather Hardman, but if you already had a Hardman, which a couple of people do, and you don't have a Sheldrick, if he's the guy that maybe you can get a red dot up to, I don't hate that. Angus Clark is still an option to bring in -8 break, -8 or -6 break even. If you didn't jump on him last week, I think you can still definitely jump on him with that low break even. So yep, I'd tick that off. Prestia, I just wouldn't be going towards the injury history. He's not even that cheap as mid. He was what 740 odd K in there or something like that. Yeah, 768. So I couldn't jump on him. I couldn't do it. Not only the injury history, but he's not that cheap. So, yeah, I couldn't do it. Archie Wicks, I couldn't jump on either. And I say you can't because he's been going at like 40s, right? But 282K, if you need a forward rookie, you could do worse. I just don't love, cause he's not really going to do much, right? And he could be dropped and he could be subbed. He could be the starting sub. So I think there are better options. I'd pay up for a Lman if you've got the 100K there. If you don't have a Clark, I'd go there. But I'd almost prefer him over Campbell Gray maybe, just because mid forward's probably a bit more handy than defender forward. But if you've got Cornerstone in your defence, then maybe Campbell Gray might be handy. But obviously, the slim pickings with the rookies, right? I'd rather take the chance on a McCarthy than go for a Day Wicks and Campbell Gray. So I'd rather McCarthy if you don't have you obviously don't have him, but I'd rather him over your Day Wicks and your Campbell Gray. Ed Allen is an option as well. Low break even, -2. Got to buy next week though. So obviously that's a little bit tricky to navigate. You could still pick him up for mid 500s, low 500s after this week, and then if he's in the team post buy, maybe you could do that. But then you could say the same about Sheldrick, right? So if it works for your buys, you could do it if he's not the sub, but you're not going to know, right? Because it is tricky. So I wouldn't get Ed Allen this week. I'd wait till after his bye, potentially if you need the cash gen there. Do it after the bye, not this week. He plays on Monday. You're not going to know if he's a sub or not, and he's then got a bye. Whereas Sheldrick, we'll probably know, and he's got Richmond, and he'd be near 600K, which you're probably not looking at doing that anymore after the bye. Miles Bergman, probably the final one we'll chat about. Obviously, Nick Martin was very, very expensive. I don't know if you're paying up for him now. You probably missed the boat just for the time being. I'd get a Bont, I'd get a Rozee, I'd get a Kendi before looking at a Nick Martin personally, just because Martin's got a bye coming up. But Miles Bergman, I'm a fan of him, bringing him in. So apparently Farrell and Sin are available for Port, and then the Savre Galea is also available. So that's 3 defenders coming into Port, which is good. I think Bergman will stay in the midfield. They want to play him in the midfield. I think he goes to like a Tom Green this week and plays on him. So I think Miles Bergman is a very good option at 723K. If he can go like a 90, make some cash, and be a trade after the buys and be one of the final upgrades you make, I think Bergman could be a play. Because if you look at his scoring, he went like a 112 against Adelaide in the showdown when he was tagging Dawson. Then a 79 against Geelong, but he was on track for a pretty good score there. He was on over 50 at halftime, but then had to move into defence with all the injuries. And then Freo played a bit of midfield, played a bit of defence, apparently spent a tiny bit forward as well. Obviously kicked a goal. So I think Bergman's a good shout, and he's someone I'm looking at potentially bringing in this week, which I'll go through my trades after. But he's someone I'm looking at. Moving to the most traded out players for the week, and a lot of them are going to be pretty self-explanatory, right? So Riley Bice, massive break-even, scored single digits last week, probably won't even be there this week, probably be dropped. So I think decision will be made for you. Over 20,000 jumping off of him, rightly so, he can go. Levi Ashcroft is the interesting one. So he dropped 10K last week, so he went 57 and got subbed out. This is a team-by-team one, right? I think it's more than fine to trade him, right? He's done what he's needed to. He's made his cash. He's not going to make another 300K, right? Or 200K. He's not going to go up to 980K unless he was to average like 105 from here, right? But, which isn't going to happen. It's not impossible, but it's not going to happen. But I think you can trade him. I think if you need to keep him, that's fine. You get an extra scorer if you need to do that. But I think he can go. He's done his job. He's been a great cash cow. He's made over 450K. He's been fantastic, but he does have the Crows potentially in the wet, is what we're sort of hearing there. Then I think he's got GWS, then Geelong, and then the bye. So, it's fine to go. But if you need a hold, I think he's a fine hold as well. But we can start moving Levi on. But he's been fantastic, and it's not going to be the last time we own him in our fantasy teams. That's for sure. We'll definitely own him multiple times for many seasons to come in the future. Kane Clear can go. Same with Bice. Scored single digits. Was the starting sub. Dropped a heap in cash. He can go. Luke Trainer, again, he was subbed out. He's dropping a fair bit of cash as well. So what's his price at now? So he's at 526. He's lost like 70k or something over the last 2 weeks. Break-even's at 93. He's just got to go. If you haven't got rid of him, I think Bice, Cleary, Trainer are high priorities to trade out. Ryan Merrick probably is similar there as well. 4,500 jumping off him. Break-even's now over 100. He's done really well. You don't want him to start undoing all that good cash gen he's made for you. So he can go. He might be also potentially dropped. He got subbed out in the last quarter tactically. McCarthy might come in for him. He's on a wing now anyway. That role shifted for the last probably 5 and a bit quarters, 6 quarters of footy. So Merrick can go. Obviously, Reed's injured, and he's still out till after the bye, so he can go. Sado Hawley, same if you can trade him. Obviously, he's not as expensive, but he can go. Boxall can go. He's on bye and hardly playing any game time, and he's probably going to be dropped post his bye. Ryan Marshall can go as well if it works to get Cherry. I wouldn't trade Marshall to Gawn, and really the only way I'm trading Marshall, and I said he can go. I probably just saw the buy, and the only way I'm trading Marshall is if it's a Cherry, right? Any other reason, I'm probably not trading him. And even Marshall to Cherry is a luxury trade if you've got other stuff done. But Marshall to Gawn, I'm not doing. Gawn's too expensive. I'm not doing Marshall to any other ruckman. Like English, probably not. I wouldn't worry about doing that. So I'm keeping Marshall unless it's the Cherry. That's the only way I'm trading Marshall. Max Hall, yep, he can go. He's made his cash. He obviously put out a pretty good score on the weekend, 73. Dropped 4K, but he's 553. He's on buy. This is a good time to cash him in and either upgrade him or downgrade him to get some money to use as an upgrade there. Harvey Langford can go as well. He dropped like a 30 on the weekend. So again, he's done his job, and he can go. I think, did he drop in cash on the weekend? Yeah, he went down 19K. Break-even's up at 90 now. He can go. He's got Collingwood then Port, so they're tough matchups, so he can go. Filippo obviously injured himself. He's on bye this week, but I think you've got to get rid of him. 105 break-even. He might be an option again at some point, maybe as like an F7 for a lot of people, but for the time being, he's obviously not playing a lot of midfield time. We need to see a few games strung together first before he drops so much money on the weekend. He's even cheaper than what he started the year at. So, yep, he can go, unfortunately. And then, Connor Stone, Cooper Simpson, both red dots can go. Lindsay's done his job, a bit like Langford. Probably less of a trade out than Langford, but he's done his job. He can go. Lawler's injured, he can go. Kako can go. Reed can go. Pryor can go. Garcia can go. Like all these guys, they're all rookies, have made their money, and they're either in the team and dropping a lot in cash, or they're not in the team and they're red dots, but they can go anyway because they've got cash on their heads. So, happy to trade a lot of those guys out. My top 5 targets of the week. Interesting week here for this one. I think a lot of people can go in a lot of different ways. I think for my number 1 target, I am going to go for Marcus Bontempelli. I think if you can get him this week, I think it's a great week to get him. Okay, Hawthorn's not a great matchup, but once you get Bont, you've got him, you'll be happy. He's got a great run after this week, and you don't want stuff to come up next week and then you can't get him. So for me, Bont is number 1. I'm going to go Rozee at number 2. I know a lot of people have already got him, but if you don't have him, I think he's of top priority. You could argue, I think he's probably, I know I put Bont at 1 and I put Rozee at 2, but if you don't have Rozee, I'd probably go him ahead of Bont just because he's a defender, and I think he's a top 2-3 defender. Bont could be a top 4 mid, right? But I'd go Rozee if you don't have him. But I went Bont at 1 because a lot of people got Rozee. So, doesn't make sense. But anyway, Rozee at 2, I do like him as well. Number 3, I think if you don't have Kyle Lman, I think he is a really good option to bring in to make some cash for you. Got the final buy, can make some good cash. I've got him at number 3. I've then probably got Riley Hardman at number 4. I just think bias to him, it just makes so much sense for a lot of teams out there, and decent matchup against West Coast. I know they've been hard for defenders, but I think it'll be a different game this one, a lot closer. So Riley Hardman for me. Really like him. So I've got him at number 4. And I'll slide Tom McCarthy in at number 5. And I'm doing that just because if you don't have him, you're looking for a downgrade, he's probably one that I think will be pretty good, and I think will get a good run in the Eagles team. But that's obviously providing he does get named. Guys that probably just missed out the top 5 is like Kendi, Big X, like they're really good options. Like if McCarthy doesn't make it, Kendi would probably be inside the top 5 targets for the week. But yeah, Clark, if you don't have him, still a solid option. Miles Bergman, I really like. Yeah, there's a few options there that I like. But yeah, they would be my top 5 targets for the week. My trades this week, they've been the same since Sunday. Since Sunday night, I've kept the same trades. So at the moment, I've got BAILSDT Hardman. That banks about 100K. I already had 350-odd-K in the bank, obviously because of Cleary out instead of Carroll. That banked a fair bit more cash than what I was already going with a fair bit last week with a couple of downgrades. But yeah, so BAILSDT Hardman. Then I'm at the moment. Lindsay to Bont is also the other trade that's locked in. But I need to make a trade where I make a tiny bit of money outside that. So at the moment, I've got Levi Ashcroft to Miles Bergman. That's the trade I'm doing. But I've also thought, do I want to keep it? Do I want to keep Levi, just wait a week on Bergman, and then go, say, a Boxhill down to a McCarthy? Or go, yeah, like someone like that, or a Carroll down to McCarthy. Like, get some cash that way. But I'm also liking the Levi down to Bergman, because I think Bergman is a good option, and I'm a big fan of him. So, yeah, I'm looking at that, and it's been the same as since Sunday. But, yeah, I'll obviously do a little bit more thinking and a little bit more crunching numbers and see if they're the trades I end up sticking with. So that's what I'm currently looking at doing at the moment. Beautiful. Let me know in the comments, guys, what you guys do with your trades for round 13. I'm interested to know, do you guys bank cash? Are you guys making some big moves, or is this maybe a week where you're fixing up some red dots and cashing up maybe for next week? So, yep, let me know what you guys are doing. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments. I'll try and get to a few of them. But if you do want a guaranteed answer to your question, head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics. I've said this obviously every video, but if you guys want to get your team review, you get every Patreon member gets a team review each week through the Ask Me On Q service. Patreon members get that for free, plus exclusive Q&As every week. I'm recording that later on tonight, so if you guys want to get involved in the Patreon and help support us, but also get some bonus content there as well, and get even more access to me, because it's so hard to respond to all Instagram messages and Twitter messages and YouTube comments and Facebook. There's just so many I get. There's so many questions to answer. If you do want to guarantee an answer to your question, Patreon is the best place to go for that. Or you can head over to Ask Me On Q, spelled qu.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics, if you'd like to use that service there as well. But yeah, make sure you guys smash a like on the video. We haven't had 200 likes on a trade talk for a few weeks. So if you guys out there can smash the likes this week, let's get us to 200 likes. There, that'd be fantastic. That's, I think, 1 in 10 people. If they smash a like, we'll get to that number. So if you can really help us out, it helps us out a whole bunch, more than you guys even know. It helps us out a heap. So if you guys can smash a like and also subscribe to our channel. We're 94 subscribers away from 4,000. We are so close to 4,000 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. We've got daily content on the channel, so get involved for the remainder of the season. Yeah, help us reach that big important goal. So thank you, everyone. You guys have been smashing it this year with all the likes, the subscribes, the comments, the support. It always is very much appreciated. Day to day, week to week, you guys are smashing it. So thank you very much for that. So yeah, I'll be back later on this evening for obviously the game day squad preview with Tom, as we always do on Wednesday nights. And also I'll be recording the Patreon Q&A for all the Patreons later on tonight as well. So link is in the description if you want to get involved in that as well. And then tomorrow night, doing a watch along for the Hawthorn and Dogs game. Looking forward to that one there. And then our pre-lockout chat at this stage will be going ahead, but I'll let people know, obviously, with the Crows if I'm going. Obviously, if it's going to be really wet, I probably won't go. But if it's fine, I'll go, which means the pre-lockout chat will either be a shorter one or might not do one, but we'll see how we go. But that'll be starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Perth time. I'll tweet out and everything like that on the socials. So if you don't follow me there, at BAILSDT is where you can find me on Twitter and across the socials, and us at AFL Fantasy Fans, as we always say. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll catch you guys in the next one. So thanks everyone. Catch you then. See ya.